I'm Mike AD, and welcome to the Delta League Podcast, Season 2. Delta, the only sport in which 3 teams play at the same time. Now, last year, our inaugural season was full of scoring, fighting, suspensions, catastrophic injuries, teams getting locked in their dressing rooms, players being stalked, assaulted, sexually harassed, and most importantly, showing the fans what Delta League is all about. In the end, the Seattle Pirates completed a dominant campaign by winning not only the Premiership Shield, but the Delta League Championship against 2 Cinderella teams who nobody thought would make it to the finals in Washington and Philadelphia. Not even the ownership of the Philadelphia team. Now, we'll say that. Now, the Seattle captain, Vlad Millet, not only won the scoring championship, but the league's leadership award. Chevy Colella, after being traded out of Boston, gives his former team the ultimate finger by then winning the league MVP. Now, there were dozens of stories, and these are going to continue as Delta cements its reputation of being the most chaotic game in the world on and off the court. Now, Toronto, in the summer of last year, received a cease and desist order from another team who apparently had the patent for the Titans name. Whoever didn't check that is fired. Now, Toronto are known now as the Toronto Towers. And here is the new logo. Let's be honest, it's not as great as the Titans was, but it's less expensive to carry on using it. That's for sure. Now, the Memphis Pharaohs have changed their team colors, moving away from that hideous baby blue and burnt orange to gold, red, and white. And this is a marked improvement. Now, the LA Fallen Angels have changed their name to the Fallen Angels of Los Angeles, and I have no idea why they made this stupid decision, because it's not trendy and it's not cool. Now, let's move on to some other news where there's going to be an all-star celebration this year, and New York will host the event. The format will be West versus Central versus East. Voting begins at the start of the season and will conclude after week 10. Coincidentally, that's where the GM meetings and the trade deadline will be. Expect some of your stars to be dealt. Now, in addition, the league has come up with a rotating schedule so that the league's 3 yearly events, the Wheel of Fire tournament, the draft, and the All-Star game, will be rotated such that all 18 teams will get to host it. Now, expansion. The league has announced that they are expanding next year by 3 teams. The early contenders are Portland, San Francisco, Las Vegas, Houston, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and Charlotte. By the All-Star weekend, this list will be narrowed down significantly, and by this year's Wheel of Fire tournament, the 3 franchises will be announced. Now, let's get on with all this league business. on to the draft in Memphis from this February. Starting from the first round, Miami takes Maximus Brown, a really great pick here. Detroit, Lucius Floyd, and Chicago takes Jonas Stankovičius. But then Boston takes Konstantinos Papadopoulos, which is a great pick there. But Montreal gets like the ultimate pick where somebody decided they weren't going to take Gus the Bus. Guess who took Gus the Bus? Montreal took Gus the Bus Bartenza, probably the best player available in the draft. Have no idea why they decided not to take this walking fridge. Now, Salt Lake City takes Laura Greco, not a good pick. Denver starts the day really good and really ends the day really good. Let's be honest. With the first of many great picks, Denver takes Damian Ellis. Dallas takes Anatoly Schaefer. Atlanta, trading more draft picks away to Chicago, they take Cassius Kennedy. LA gets Reese Anderson. And New York takes Simon Bork, who is a great pick here. Now, Phoenix will go on to take Nick Hoja, and Toronto gets another great player, Barb Wire, Barb White. What a name. Now, Vancouver goes on to take Belbeer Butker. Memphis, I don't know what they're doing here. They take Marcus Myers. Who the hell is this guy? Philadelphia, Dante Shanks. Washington takes the brother of Corbin Womack, Octavian Womack. And Seattle takes Amber Tagliabue. Great player. Does this team make any freaking mistakes? Wow. Now, we'll move on to round number 2, where Miami takes Harmony Golan. Detroit takes the only good pick of this entire draft. They take Hussein Cohen. Chicago, for some reason, takes LaQuisha Hershey. Then Boston, another good pick, takes Hobo Mickelson. What a name. Hobo Mickelson. Montreal takes Jacqueline White. They're improving their team big time here. Now, SLC takes Ari Schwartz. Denver gets even better by taking Jude Tesla. Now, Dallas takes J.K. Barbosa. This guy should not have gone in the second round. That is a 4th round pick. Ridiculous. Now, Atlanta giving away more draft picks to Chicago. This time, Chicago uses the pick to take Venus Pilar. That is a good pick. Now, LA takes Carl Slate. Philadelphia trades its pick to New York, and they take Bethlehem Cato. Washington takes Boo Boo Anawai. New York takes Carmen Thorson, another great pick. Now, Phoenix takes Jake Coffin. What a name. Now, Toronto takes... why did they even take this player? I think that the Zamboni driver may be better than this player. Barbara Tomei, not a good pick. Now, Vancouver takes Ana Maria Chavez. Memphis, another lackluster pick. They take Husky DeSanto. And Seattle, trading their pick to Philadelphia, for some reason they take Gay Trinidad. Now, on to round number 3, where Miami gets a real steal here with Hardcore Corbin Hargabind. Detroit takes Youssef Khan. Not a good pick. Chicago, trading their pick to Dallas, they take Pavel Morgenthaler, who is not that good either. Boston takes Jeff Butts. Montreal trades their pick to Philadelphia, and they take Bobby Joe Singh. SLC, I don't think they made one good pick in this draft. They take Blade Martell. The only thing good about this player is the name, Blade Martell. Perhaps he should be a professional wrestler. Now, Denver, in this round, probably take the only bad pick that they take here, and they take the Iron Man, Antonio Stark. Next will be Dallas, who take Jocelyn Lacroix. Atlanta takes Rick Tebow. That's the first pick they've got. Third round. Not very good. Now, LA traded their pick to Seattle, and they get the best player in this round. They take James Corn. A phenomenal pick. Now, Philadelphia, who traded their pick to New York in the Griffin Bricker trade, they take Elliott Park. Washington takes Jimbo Grover. New York takes Tracy Trash Dubrovnik. I hope that this lady ends up playing in this league, because there's a story behind this lady who was jumped and assaulted, and they didn't know about her mixed martial arts background, and she proceeded to throw these guys literally in the trash. So, can't wait till she makes it up. Phoenix takes Simon Sencure. Toronto, Rex Pomodoro, who the Italian community will love. The Rex Pomodoro, but not likely he will play for this team. Vancouver takes Kofi Dominguez. Memphis takes Bianca Watson, a great pick. And Seattle will take Matthias Love III, who will probably be a long-term project. Now, on to the final round, where some really great picks can be found here. But first, dihydrogen monoxide. Now, Miami starts out by taking Fausto Fernandez, another great young feisty player who is going to play for this team this year. Now, Detroit makes another bullshit decision by taking Fifi Carlson. She will never play 1 minute in this league. Now, Chicago, trading their pick to LA, takes Keith Ogilvy. Boston takes A.K. Cooper. What a name. A.K. Kalashnikov Cooper. I hope this player plays. I don't know if they will. I have no idea. Now, Montreal takes Tommy Lee Chavez, another player that might not ever play in this league. SLC, that's the fourth pick that's never gonna see the court. Now, Denver, trading their pick to Miami, take Dimitri Suarez. Dallas takes B.B. Ping. Now, there's two players that also will not play in this league. Now, Atlanta, here's another pick for Atlanta. Zhang Eichmann. Very average player, but based on how crappy this team is, that player may play for the Inferno this year. Now, LA takes Danny Mack. Philadelphia takes the best name in the draft, Harlequin Butcher. That's amazing. Now, Washington takes Ike Brundle. New York takes Adolphe Messier. I don't think that anyone named Adolphe is going to play in this league. Now, Phoenix takes Melissa Poirier, and Toronto, with a huge steal, takes Ash Malik. Then Vancouver takes Rajput Kamensky. Memphis takes Rasputin Karlamov. And Seattle takes Reza Fulton. And none of these players will ever be seen again. Now, as a summation of this draft, Vancouver did very average. They have a player in Balbir Butker, who will probably play this year in this league. Seattle got two phenomenal players in this draft, Amber Tagliabue and James Corn. Very good results for them. Salt Lake City, really, why did you even show up? Los Angeles, kind of the same, but their team is kind of on the edge of not making it this year, and these picks do not give me any positive outcome. Now, Phoenix ends up taking Nick Hoja and Jake Coffin, and those two will play this year. A phenomenal day at the draft for Phoenix. Same thing with Denver, who end up with Damian Ellis and Jude Tesla. A phenomenal pair that will definitely play for the Sky this year. Now, Dallas ends up with 5 picks, and maybe one of them is going to make this team. Jocelyn Lacroix. All the rest of these, they're going to be playing for the farm team. Now, Chicago had 4 picks in this draft, and I wish that they did better. They got Venus Pilar and Jonas Stankavicius. I think both of them will play this season. Now, Memphis, who hosted this thing, only will end up with 1 player that will make the team this year, and it will definitely be Bianca Watson. Detroit, Hussein Cohen will play. Lucius Floyd will play. And these 2 other ones, I don't even know why they bothered to show up to the bloody draft. Now, Toronto got a shitload better here because they ended up with Barbed Wire White and Ash Malik. I mean, based upon where they were picking in the draft, a phenomenal selection. Now, Montreal got the steal of the draft by Miami not taking Gus the Bus Partenza. Are you freaking kidding me? And Jacqueline White. This team's going to be much improved. Now, Boston, they're going to get Konstantinos Papadopoulos and Hobo Mickelson, making this team much better next year. New York, 6 picks in this draft. And let me tell you, they got at least 4 usable players from this draft. If not the team, the Fire Demons this year, but the farm team is going to be stocked this year. They got Simon Bork, Bethlehem Cato, Carmen Thorson, Elliot Park, Trash Dubrovnik. Wow, some really great stuff here. And Philadelphia, at least they got Harlequin Butcher. What a name. Now, Washington, very average. They ended up with Corbin Womack's brother and not much else. Atlanta, I don't know why they showed up to the draft. And Miami, just because of their position in the draft, they're guaranteed to have at least 3 rookies in their starting lineup starting this season. Max Brown, Corbin Hargabind, and Fausto Fernandez. And now that we've had a draft, the teams have now created minor league affiliates and an entire minor league system to support it. So here's the list of the teams and the minor league affiliates here. We got Atlanta, whose farm team will be the Georgia Firebirds. Boston will take the Halifax Explosion. Halifax Explosion. Some people might be offended by that. Is that too soon? Chicago. They've got the Milwaukee Beers. Dallas has chosen the San Antonio Supernovas. Denver's minor league team will be the Kansas City Twisters. Detroit Rock have chosen the Michigan Metal. And Los Angeles will be the San Jose Surfers. Memphis's minor league team is going to be called the Nashville Smashers. Smashtown. Nashville Smashers. Montreal will be the Quebec City Phantoms. Miami has chosen the Tampa Bay Invaders. New York Fire Demons will be the Utica Yeti. Philadelphia's minor league team will be the Birmingham Blades. Phoenix has chosen the Albuquerque Pueblos as their minor league affiliate. Salt Lake City will be the Utah Outlaws. Seattle has chosen Tacoma, and their team's called the Buccaneers. And Toronto will have the Ottawa Lumberjacks. Vancouver will have the Calgary Dark Horse. And Washington has chosen the DC Electric. Now, they're going to use this minor league to develop players, along with testing rule changes, and especially this coming season, experiment with a 3-division format instead of the current single table. There'll be a West Division, a Northeast Division, and a South Division. Now, let's take a look at what happened at the trade deadline after the draft. Now, Philadelphia player Jack Ith has retired after just one season, citing too many injuries in his amateur career that just exacerbated when he began to play Pro Delta. This leaves a pretty big hole that the Shred will have to dive into the waiver wire to fill. Or maybe they'll just not replace him at all. Then trade the whole fucking team. Then go on a Cinderella run to the finals. Oh boy. Now, LA traded Colas Hottie and a 3rd-round pick to Vancouver for Jerome Jalbert. This is a win for LA, who gets a better player here. Not sure what Vancouver hoped to gain from this trade. Time always does tell when draft picks are involved, even a pick as low as this pick. Now, Denver and Boston exchange a pair of prospects, and in the process, Denver relinquishes a 2nd-round pick, and Boston gives up a 3rd-round pick. Now, Atlanta traded Captain Eduardo Steven to Boston for Grant Naun and a 2nd-round pick, which is a very risky venture given that Naun has a leg and elbow injury. But this is not the only idiotic move that we've seen Atlanta make, because last year they traded their 1st and 2nd first-round picks for Jeff Septimus, who this spring is in the minors. I think the GM is the one that should be traded. Now, Dallas has traded perpetual pain in the ass Till Phillips and a 2nd-rounder to Washington for Goldie Crowley. I mean, this is a good move to get a troublesome player off the books, and they have to pay a 2nd-rounder to compensate for the fact that this player won't even be available for the first third of the season. This is a big gamble by Washington and a hell of a gutsy move by Dallas. Now, rookie Jacqueline White was just getting situated in Montreal, and she's been traded to Miami for Nate Taft. The Maelstrom looking for some experience on their roster, and Miami may be looking for some youthful exuberance because, let's be honest, one win will be better than last year. Now, Philadelphia has picked up Steve Fotopoulos off waivers from Toronto. Not nearly the same caliber of player. It's unfortunate, but maybe lightning can strike twice, because the ownership deserves to be struck by lightning. Now, let's go with the predictions from this coming season, coming from Delta League Experts.com. Now, team rankings place Denver as the top-rated team. Some would say this is extremely premature to place a team that was flirting with 17th place all season to be the best team, but this is Delta League. We've had miracles here. This is how I see this. Denver has added 2 rookies to their roster, but more than that, this team took some serious strides last season. Some would say that it was already too late when they had made those changes, but personal growth was there. I think this team makes the playoffs And if they can avoid injuries, suspensions, and other sordid behaviors, this team will contend. They have the high-quality players to make it happen. Next is the defending champion Seattle Pirates that are still, in my opinion, the team to beat. They ran roughshod through everyone and dominated personally and professional. Now, they've added 2 rookies to their lineup for this coming season, and this roster is so stacked, it's going to eat teams alive this season. Next up is Montreal, who petered out badly last season due to inopportune injuries. They've gotten healthy. They've added possibly the best rookie in the league, Gus Partenza, and this team looks to cause some serious damage. Next up is New York, who could have been so much better last year, but they couldn't get out of their own bloody way. And I just don't mean the players, the GM, the controversial trades, the works. It's a miracle this team did not fall out of the postseason, but they stockpiled some picks, made some good management decisions, and this team looks to contend big time. Now, next is Toronto, who looks better than last year. They've added Barb White, which is going to be exciting because she's a character for sure. Hopefully this team can avoid injuries and inconsistent play. It's amazing that with all these issues, Toronto finished in 4th place, and I don't think this is going to change. Maybe this year they can finish 5th and avoid having to play Seattle in the playoffs, because they just ran into a buzzsaw. Now, next up is Vancouver, who really haven't changed much. They had some badly timed injuries at the end of the season that hampered their playoff performance, but this team looks to finish around the same place as last year. Now, next up is Philadelphia, who went on an improbable run all the way to the finals last year, and rest assured, nobody will be caught sleeping on this team. They should have a full season with Griffin Bricker and rookie sensation Harlequin Butcher. That's just a great name. Just perfect for the city of extreme. Now, regardless of that fact, any bumps in the road here are going to make playoffs a hard proposition. Now, next up is Phoenix, who were very consistent last year. Problem is teams like Philadelphia and Washington, who just rode that wave all over their ass. This team really hasn't changed very much, and they're going to need some help, be it a trade, another team to fall off a cliff, and just some good old luck, lest they fall out of contention. Now, believe it or not, next is Salt Lake City. I have no idea how this team is ranked so high. Last year, they were ranked about the same, and they did not meet those expectations. Expect this team not to meet those expectations. Now, next up is LA and Washington, and LA went on a great run last year and gobbled up that last playoff spot, but I don't see very many changes here. Perhaps I was wrong on this team. I want to like this team, but management has to give me a reason to cheer. Now, Washington, who was just a miracle last year and had Chevy Colella getting traded out of Beantown, and he set up an empire there. And in the offseason, Washington picked up Till Phillips, thinking this guy was some kind of spark, when he could be a set of cement shoes that hampers this team. Time will tell. But when this guy gets back from his lengthy suspension, this team has serious offensive potential, and these rankings could just blow up like everybody's playoff bracket. Now, Chicago have some suspensions still on the books that continue to hamper this team. If they could only get their shit together, they have a pretty great roster here. But the DNA of this team seems hardwired to self-destruct. Now, time will tell whether or not they can put it together and give the press a big shit sandwich to eat, because the city of Chicago saw some pretty bad Delta last year from the Pride. Now, next up is the Miami Vortex. I mean, this team is going to get a win this year. That is a promise. They've added some great rookies from the draft and made this team younger and hungrier. The parity among the middle-of-the-road teams creates a distinct possibility that Miami could contend for a playoff spot. Small steps. I know, because last year was 0 for 17. Temper your expectations. Now, next is Dallas, who started the year with so much potential, then self-destructed their way into an embarrassing bow out of the playoffs. They shed that Till Phillips contract. Time will tell whether this was a long-term positive move, but a short-term improvement it is. Now, Boston. This team has got better. It's undeniable. But it's going to take a small miracle to get this team out of the septic tank. They're just not good enough. And fans should petition this team to make some better draft selections instead of trying to beat the shit out of the opposing players. God, that's embarrassing. Now, Detroit. The Rock are not that good of a team, man. They didn't do well at the draft table, and they haven't traded well either. Perhaps GM Mike Facciolo should stop managing the team and join the team on the court, because this team does not rock hard at all, which is going to lead to one of two things: heavy objects being thrown or people being fired. Now, Memphis. Wow, this is a very low rating for this team, who was the best defensive team in the league last year. It is the league's best coach team, who seemed to exceed expectations even last year. They've improved themselves defensively, but not comparatively to everyone else. They changed their team colors, but perhaps they need to change team personnel, because last year the Pharaohs were impressive. Unfortunately, they ran into a very hot team in the playoffs. This rating is idiotically low for a team that plays as well as this team. So I'll make a prediction that the Pharaohs will make the playoffs this year. 17th place? Jesus. Now, coming up the rear, Atlanta proves there are consequences to bad management. Now, something that the management in Philadelphia has yet to experience. They seem to get rewarded for every selfish and idiotic move they make. This team traded away draft picks for Jeff Septimus, who they just released for nothing. This team is proof that you reap what you sow. Just garbage management and a city that deserves better. It's a guarantee. Miami finishes ahead of this driving septic tank. Just incorrigible. That's it. With the 3-week preseason set to begin in July, the season is ramping up, and it appears to be a cauldron of unpredictable violence and controversy. I'm Mike AD. See you in August.